Hello there, Lunar Squadron, and welcome back to the channel. We got some surprising news this week, didn't we, Andreas? We got word that at D23 on September 9th, there will be a Marvel and Disney showcase for video games. This kind of just came out of nowhere. It actually didn't it just came out of nowhere. Now, what is the one thing we have been begging for over the last few months? That is news about upcoming Star Wars games, and it looks like we might just be getting that news in just a few short weeks. So in this video, we're going to talk about all of the things that are confirmed for this showcase, and we're going to talk about the things that we think are going to happen or are reasonable to happen at this showcase on September 9th. But before we do all that, if you are new to this video, we would love to have you, and the way to do that is just go down below this video, hit that little subscribe button, the bell notification right on next to it. It will notify you every single time that Andreas and I upload. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into this video and talk about this game showcase.
So before we get into our sleuthing, conspiracy theories, speculation, all that good stuff, Nick, I want to talk about what we know for sure. What's in the actual press release for this thing? What can we bet our bottom dollar on? What's absolutely going to be at this thing?
Yeah, so let's just take a look directly at Marvel's website. Let's go straight from the source. And it says that, first off, the event will be taking place Friday, September 9th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're wondering when this event is, it is September 9th, right around 1 p.m. Pacific. And in this little website press release thing, it's not really a press release, but it's more of a news article. It basically says, the digital showcase will feature incredible new content from Disney and Pixar games, Marvel games, Lucasfilm Games, and 20th Century Games. In addition to all new announcements, fans can expect new reveals from titles including Disney Dreamlight Valley, Marvel's Midnight Suns, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and a sneak peek at the upcoming Marvel Ensemble game from Skydance New Media. Now, there are a couple interesting things to take away from this particular paragraph, Andreas. First being, apparently LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is not dead like we all thought it was. It is getting new content, and not only is it supposedly getting new content in some form of DLC, this is the only actually confirmed Star Wars game to be at the showcase, even though they talk about how fans can expect a bunch of new content, new reveals, trailers for new and upcoming games from their studios, including Lucasfilm Games. So it sounds like even though LEGO Star Wars is the only confirmed game, it's not going to be the only Star Wars game that's present at this event. If I had to say, and I think we agree on this, the most likely Star Wars game to be at this event has to be Jedi Survivor, with the rumors circling over the last few weeks that this game is set for an earlier 2023 release. It makes so much sense, if not the most sense, for the next look at Jedi Survivor to be at this game showcase, especially since it is meant directly for Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm Games. This event is built for this game to show off. Now, I do know, of course, Gamescom is coming up next week, but there has been no smoke that Jedi Survivor would be at Gamescom. Of course, they could surprise us just like they did last year with LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. We didn't know that game was at Gamescom until literally days before the event took place. So, of course, Jedi Survivor could be at Gamescom, but I have to expect that any of these big Star Wars games will be saved for this showcase. So I personally, Andreas, am going to expect a trailer of some sort to be at this Disney showcase for Jedi Survivor, because all we have is that brief first look back all the way at Star Wars Celebration. And if this game is coming out in just a few months, early 2023, that March time or whatever, we don't know a whole lot about this game. We haven't even seen gameplay or anything.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We're running out of 2022 here. Like, we are very closely getting to that point where we're coming up on this release date or this release window. I don't know. I think this is I don't want to say it's a likelihood, but I think if you had to bet on any Star Wars game aside from LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga, which I wouldn't have bet on being at this like 2 weeks ago, but if you had to bet on any Star Wars game being here, probably Jedi Survivor is your best bet. Now, there are some other Star Wars games obviously in the works, so I don't know, Nick, if you just want to like run through what we know is out there and kind of do a quick yay or nay on whether you think it'll show up at this conference. I think an easy one to dispel that will not be at this conference is Star Wars Eclipse, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the obvious one. That game is years away if it ever happens. Honestly, my personal feelings about Star Wars Eclipse is that this game eventually gets canceled. I don't think that game ever sees the light of day. I think that's another, put it alongside 1313 and all the other Star Wars games that have eventually been canceled. I just don't think that game is happening, and I don't think it's reasonable at all to expect an update on that game here in a few weeks. Star Wars Hunters is a game that has been delayed out. I wouldn't be surprised if we got some looks at that, even though, you and I personally have gotten to play this game, so clearly it is pretty much done. They just have delayed it an additional few months just to, polish it up or whatever they want to do. Of course, we have that Ubisoft Star Wars game that is, floating around in the ether. We did see that they are hiring programmers and such for this game, so they're definitely still working on it. It sounds like it might be earlier in production on that, so I'm not sure what to expect. Maybe at most some sort of cinematic, call back to that Indiana Jones cinematic we saw earlier in 2021. And speaking of Indiana Jones, I know there are some other Star Wars games potentially out there. There's that Respawn FPS game that they're working on that was talked about, so that could potentially be shown off. So there's a couple other things. But, Andreas, I'm thinking this weekend will be pretty big for us indie fans, because personally I'm expecting at D23 to get our first real look at Indy 5, but I'm feeling pretty good about getting a good look at this Indiana Jones game, because it has been a very long time. It's been almost 2 years. January of 2021 was when this game was announced, and it's been dead, radio silent since then, and if this ever going to happen at an event, it's going to be this one.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, in the back of my head, was always reserving this Gamescom for, maybe we might have seen Indiana Jones. And then when I heard about this event, I was kind of thinking, something just clicked for me. I was like, this is a real place to show. I know we had, a quote-unquote trailer all of, a year and 7 months ago when that came out. But, there's a real opportunity to get a legitimate proof of concept for this game, maybe something more along the lines of what we saw from Jedi Survivor at Star Wars Celebration, maybe a trailer of that depth, maybe with a release window. That would be incredible. However, as an Indiana Jones fan, it's honestly kind of too good to be true to even think that they're making an Indiana Jones game at this point. So I don't know. I'm personally very hand shy when it comes to Indiana Jones content. I'm expecting the worst. I'm expecting I know it can't even be delayed at this point, but I'm expecting a delay, and they don't even have a release window. So I don't know how you feel about that, Nick. But I don't know. It would be incredible to see it. I'm not really getting my hopes up until I see it, and if it does show up, rest assured, I'm gonna be losing my absolute shit. I know you're gonna be losing your shit too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough sledding as an indie fan, but I'm just off the rails at this point. I'm just going to expect it to be there and just hope that it is. Now, there are a couple things that I do want to touch on briefly before we get out of here. So, of course, we will be getting our first look at this upcoming Marvel Ensemble game from Skydance New Media. Word on the street is Fantastic Four is what we're hearing. I think that is a good, reasonable expectation, especially Marvel Ensemble of Fantastic Four. Makes a lot of sense. Speaking of Skydance New Media, we know that this studio is also working on a Star Wars game, so perhaps we might get a look or some information about that. Now, Andreas, obviously this is the Disney Marvel showcase. Marvel is going to play a huge part in this showcase, and the two big Marvel games that everyone is waiting on is Insomniac's Spider-Man 2 and their Wolverine game. Now, what is the likelihood we think that either of those games will be at the showcase? To be honest with you, Andreas, in my opinion, I don't think there's any chance that either of these games show up at the showcase other than perhaps oh yeah, and these games are still coming. Because these are Sony exclusive games, and we are due a Sony showcase literally any week now. Sony Showcase 2021 took place in early September, and the same was true for Sony Showcase 2020, and rumor has it that there might be a showcase before the end of August or sometime in September, and there will be one before the end of the year. So I think if Spider-Man 2 or Wolverine are talked about this calendar year, because obviously they're not coming out this year, I think it will be saved for that Sony showcase. I think Sony will drop the hammer on that one, and they will definitely reserve that for their showcase, because those are two heavy hitters for Sony.
Yeah, we've seen Sony and Disney fight over Spider-Man before. I think Sony's always going to come out on top with that one. I really think
yeah,
that...
I mean, they own it. It's like,
yeah.
it stops with them, so...
Yeah, so, like, the buck really does stop with Sony. I think Spider-Man is Sony's baby, and they would sooner punch a mouse in the face if they had to. So, I think we can kind of expect that to be... You know, that's their like showstopper that they're gonna drop at a Sony conference. Like, I can already see it, right? Like, we already
especially
see, like,
with Ragnarok is coming out, and
like dying moments of a
Forbidden
Sony
West.
conference. They're gonna have like these back to back, like, and then it's just gonna be Spider-Man, and then they're gonna show Wolverine. Like, I can already see it. Like, I don't really think this is a place for it. I do agree with you though that, you know, if you're Disney here, why not flaunt what you got? Like, why not say, like, oh, by the way, like, Marvel also has Insomniac dropping dimes for us in the backyard. Like, why not point that out? Because that's, like, the most incredible thing to have in your back pocket as a studio. Like, oh, by the way, like, we've got these AAA titles coming from a studio that's already brought the best Marvel game of all time, if not one of the best Sony exclusives of all time. So, really expect them to harken on that. But for me personally, when we're talking about Marvel stuff, I'm really excited to see what Skydance New Media is bringing to the table here. And part of that is also self-interested as a Star Wars fan. I want to see what this studio is capable of because, like you said, Nick, they're also cooking up a Star Wars project. And this studio kind of looks to me like it is Disney's pseudo in-house. Like, this is where they're taking their IP to, you know, somewhere offshore, but, like, close enough to where they're just making games for Disney with their major IPs. I'm really wondering what sort of games they're going to be cooking up, what scale, how much Disney's investing in Skydance New Media. They've already put Amy Hennig in charge of this operation, who we know the firepower that she can bring to the table with her Uncharted experience. I want to see exactly what they're putting together, and we know that we're going to see the Marvel project at this event, and I can't wait to see, you know, what we can start to expect from them when it comes from that Star Wars game down the line. I'm super excited for it. I know, Nick, you're excited for Fantastic Four, right?
I mean, yeah, I like Fantastic Four, so I think it would definitely be interesting. I think it would probably work best similar in the vein to the Guardians of the Galaxy game. I think it could be something like that, or perhaps you could switch between a bunch of different characters. I haven't really thought of it. I was honestly surprised
online
to hear
co-op,
that this
please.
game was coming. That would be cool too. Maybe like the Avengers game, but actually good this time. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that, but all right. Before we get out of here, very briefly, because we're running a little long, Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, we mentioned it. It sounds like it's getting new content. Real quick, I just feel obligated to talk about this given our history. What do you expect? I'm thinking character packs at the most for like Andor and Kenobi, perhaps the character customization, because it definitely seems like the infrastructure for that was in Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, it just never happened. So I think best case scenario, character customization. I think most likely scenario is character packs, and the dream scenario is like online co-op and some new content, new levels that would give us a reason to go back and do some more gameplay videos. So that's where I'm at on that.
Yeah, I'm expecting new planets, I'm expecting new ships, new levels, online, custom, Bosk DLC, Grievous DLC packs, the lot, like all of it. I'm expecting
You're gonna get us in trouble. People are gonna think you're serious.
I'm actually not serious. I'm not expecting anything from this, really. Nick, I agree with you. I'm just expecting...
I'm honestly shocked that you're talking about news for this game.
Yeah, I'm honest. I thought we were closer to TT unveiling their next project that they would be working
like
on.
Infinity Saga or some Harry Potter game or something.
Or their soccer
for
game,
this.
Lego Soccer. Come on, like we want to see that, right?
All right, yeah, sure.
I don't know. It could be weird. It could be good. I don't know. But in any event, like, Lego Star Wars is back for some reason. I don't know why it is, but I hope it brings something exciting to the table and not just, you know, a quick grab for another $5 just for a couple skins. Like, but that's the likelihood. I think we can all kind of bank on that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So with that, I think we've kind of gone through everything that we're expecting out of this conference. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys expect to see at this conference. Do you think we're going to see Bethesda's new Indiana Jones game at this thing? Do you think we're going to see Jedi Survivor trailers at this thing? And what do you think Lego Star Wars is going to bring? Is it going to be something weird, or is it going to be something cool and new and exciting? Let us know in the comments down below. We'd love to hear all of your thoughts on that. Also, if you're new to the channel, we would absolutely love to have you. All you have to do is click that little red subscribe button and the bell notification button right on next to it. It's going to let you know whenever we post the latest and greatest content, hands down, on the internet. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we will see you all next time.